Hello, this is Damian with an excerpt from an interview I did with Radio New Zealand International.
Dateline Pacific. Peki mai, kake mai. This is Radio New Zealand International's Dateline Pacific. I'm Don Wiseman.
It stirred up a lot of old issues, and the people who are against the mine, from what I could feel there, or what they said to me, they felt as if they were being sidelined.
The provincial government has always said that it's never going to go ahead with something unless it's got the agreement of the people. It's made plenty of noises over the years that, in a sense, if it's going to get any economic momentum, it needs to be into mining, and I think specifically it wants to reopen the Panguna mine. But it has always stressed that it wouldn't do anything unless it had the support of the people.
President Tannis reiterated that in some of the comments I've heard to the media. But I think what I guess Mekamui are concerned about is nobody's consulting them, and there are other landowners there that have said they feel left out of the process. From what I can understand, Mr. Coleman arrived, and none of the people I spoke to knew he was in Booker.
Did he travel down to Panguna itself?
No, he didn't. No, he was in Booker.
Would he have got into Panguna?
Look, I very much doubt it. We went through a lengthy, I guess you'd call it an interview process, Mekamui, where they very clearly stated that they weren't letting anybody in there that was pro-mining, and they needed to know where we stood as far as what our motives were.
These members of Mekamui, they are adamant that there cannot be mining.
There's statements such as mining is non-negotiable by General Chris Uma. They talk about the worries of environmental worries. They talk about what he sees as what BCL did to his island. But in statements further on, they make more open demands, I guess, by saying we will not talk about mining until we get independence, and I guess compensation is probably the right word for damage done. Until that happens, we're not willing to talk even. Then there's another guy there, and he's one of the administration, I guess. Williams said, at this stage, the way we look at it is our generation won't allow it to happen, but following generations may change their mind. So, it's a little bit of a mixed message, but I think if you look at the idea of independence and compensation, I think they're quite aware that, that's a fairly big call. So, on the whole, these guys are really not going to be positive about the mine under most circumstances.
Just how big is this opposition? Are we talking about a handful of stragglers from the Civil War?
They talk about camps that are still active in the forest. I asked numbers, and they really didn't want to go into detail. But his response was, "We've got the forest camps, but the main strength that they see is that," he said, "the majority of the island is behind them." In what I suppose in Western terms we'd call like a reservist force. It was the way he explained it to me.